Hi everyone and welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for California students. A couple of things for you. If you want to ask any questions for our panelists, you can use the Q&A button to type your questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to do. We can't see or hear you, so that's the only way that you'll be able to communicate with our panelists. If you want to sign up for more sessions, feel free to go to the College2Career firstconnect.org website. And also, in about a week, the session will be available on the website as it is being recorded. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to Dylan.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Dylan DeChico, and I am the Student Recruitment Officer for students coming from the United States at Concordia University in Montreal. I'll give you a very quick little introduction of what my past is with Concordia. So I actually was a student at Concordia. I did my Bachelor of Fine Arts and Studio Arts and started back in 2011. And then for the past 4 years, I've been working with student recruitment. So I definitely have a lot of experience with student life on campus, but then also with the admissions process and what you have to do in order to be admissible for the university. So for today, for the presentation, I have about a 15-minute to 20-minute long slideshow I'm going to show you. I know that in our virtual world, we have been spending a lot of time on Zoom, so I don't want to exhaust you too much. I'm the only one that is here today from Concordia, so if you do have any questions for the Q&A, feel free to put them in. I won't be able to see them during the presentation, but after I'm done with my slideshow, I will go through them and I will help answer them, and then you can kind of keep them coming, and then that way we can just, I can answer your questions on the spot at the very end as you put them through the Q&A. So I'm just going to share my screen and we will get started with a little presentation on Concordia. Okay, so again, my name is Dylan. This is a little picture of me. I will give you all of my contact information at the end of the presentation. So if you do want to contact me directly, you will have that information there. And then of course, the Q&A features for you to ask me any questions. So I will help answer them at the end of the presentation. All right, so where is Concordia University located? Well, we're up in Canada, so of course, just above the United States. Although we are an international country, we do have a lot of similarities to you. So if you do decide to come study in Canada, it's not going to be a huge difference from the States. We do have a lot more maple syrup and poutine, that is true. But we do have a lot of really great similarities as well. So to fly from LA to Montreal is about a 5-hour flight. So we are on the other side of the continent, which does seem very, very far, but there are a lot of direct flights. So by the time that you apply to Concordia, if our courses are being held on campus, it is very easy to get from our Pierre Elliott Trudeau International Airport all the way over to any of the major airports in California or on the West Coast. So a lot of questions, like I get the question a lot from students coming from the US of like, why is it exciting to study in Canada? Of course, there are so many universities in the US, there's so many things to choose from. So, what is the draw of coming to Canada for a degree? So all of our degrees are internationally recognized. So if you come here and you do a bachelor's degree and then you want to go to the States to finish off with graduate studies, you're more than welcome to do that. Our tuition is very affordable. So to give you a little bit of a ballpark, at Concordia, it's about $21,000 to $27,000 for one academic year, and that's in Canadian dollars. So because the US is very strong right now, of course, that is a huge it's a huge advantage for American students. And then also too, one thing that really helps if you want is that with your visa, with your student visa, you have employment opportunities while you're studying. So you can work for 20 hours a week while you are in school. You can work for 40 hours a week during the summertime. And then after you graduate, if you want to stay in Montreal or if you want to stay in Canada and you want to look for a job, you want to get permanent residency or even citizenship, we allow you to stay for up to 3 years after you graduate from your degree. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty good way to come to a country that is a little bit similar to the States, but you still really get that international experience. So Montreal, of course, I cannot hear you, but I'm very curious to know how many of you have been to Montreal. So I will assume that maybe a couple of you have, and most of you have not. But it's a very, very beautiful city. We're actually the #1 student city in North America and 6th in the world. So it's a great place to live. Part of this is that Montreal is filled with so much culture. There's something going on for every kind of person. Also, too, it's just a very affordable city. So things like rent are extremely cheap here for a studio apartment with most of your utilities included. You're looking at about $600 to $700 a month Canadian. So it's a very affordable city. So it really allows you to spend more time on your studies, spend more time on yourself instead of having to work to pay off a really high rent. So it's really, that really helps, especially for students. And then there's just, as I said, so many things happening. Most people who come to Montreal or who come to Canada are kind of worried about the winter. Our winters are kind of cold here, but you really get used to it very quick. And one thing that I love about Montreal is that we don't really stop for the seasons. So even in the wintertime, we have outdoor music festivals, we have outdoor art festivals. You can see this person who is on their bike trying to bike through snow. A lot of people do that. I personally do not. I find it a little tough to bike through the snow, but some people love to do that. So yeah, it's just a really great place to live and to experience city life in Canada. All right, so to talk a little bit more about Concordia, because I've kind of been focusing on Montreal itself. So we have 2 campuses here, and I will go into the separation between them in a minute. So on our left is our downtown campus, and then on our right is our Loyola campus. Our downtown campus is very urban, whereas our Loyola campus has a lot more of like a community campus sort of vibe. So there's a lot of space, a lot of greenery. So the way that they are split up is by faculties. So we do have quite a large population at Concordia. We have about 52,000 students, and 37,000 of those are undergrad students, and about 20% are international. So even though we are a very large school, we have very small class sizes, which really helps because sometimes students get intimidated by the number of the total population. But 75% of our classes are 60 students or less, and we have 1 professor for every 27 students. In our first year courses, so maybe in like your first year, like math course or econ course, you might have a class that's a little bit larger, but immediately you're going to be going into like labs. So let's say, for example, if you're in biology or chemistry, if you're in studio arts, you're going to be going into studios to work very quickly. And same with engineering, you're going to be in labs as well. So your class sizes get small very, very quick. So don't expect to be sitting in a room of a couple hundred people for the duration of your degree. It might only be a couple classes in your first year. So as I mentioned, we do have 4 faculties. We have the John Molson School of Business, the Arts and Science. So the Arts and Science is basically humanities as well as human sciences, like chemistry, biology, exercise science. And then we have the Faculty of Fine Arts and the Gina Cody School of Engineering and Computer Science. So these are divided amongst our 2 campuses. So our downtown campus is our larger campus, and this one has business, engineering, humanities, and fine arts. So all these buildings here with a C are the major Concordia buildings, although we do own an additional 66 buildings on top of this. So we kind of took over this whole neighborhood, and this all belongs to Concordia in some form or another. A lot of these smaller buildings are for clubs and everything, but these are the main buildings where you'll have your classes. We also have a metro station right in the middle of campus, so it's very easy to get in and out of downtown to come study for your classes. So our Loyola campus is 7 kilometers west of the downtown. So it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to get there. We do have a shuttle bus that goes between the 2 campuses that is free of charge for students. So it is very accessible. So at this campus, we have our psychology program. We also have all of our human sciences, so exercise science, as well as like biology, chemistry. And then we have our communication and journalism program here as well. And then down at the bottom is where we have our sports facility, because we cannot fit football fields in downtown Montreal. So it makes a lot more sense to have all of our major kind of like hockey rinks and basketball court and our fields over on the other campus. So one thing that's really great about Concordia is that we really do have a strong caring community. So I do want to say that everything that I'm going to talk about, everything is offered online. So even if you're going to be taking courses remotely, all of these services are still available to you in one form or another. So they are still very accessible. So one that is very useful for international students is the International Student Office. They can really help you out when you're looking at your study permits and what you need to do to get into Canada. We also have our Financial Aid and Awards Office, so they can help you with budgeting. They can help you look at bursaries and also scholarships. The Student Success Center is one of the most useful centers that we have on campus. So they're there to help you every step of your degree. If you ever need tutoring in one of your classes, they have free tutors. They have a mentor program, so you can get teamed up with current Concordia students to kind of help you out throughout your first year. And they're also there to look over like essays and do proofreading and everything. So it is something that I always tell students to try to remember that exists, because they will be able to help you out. We have our Access Center for students with disabilities, and then we also have HOJA, which is our and job bank. So if you're looking for off-campus housing as well as part-time jobs, they can help you look for those. And then we do have our health services. So we do have a doctor's office as well, like where you can go to see a doctor, see a nurse, and we have them on both campuses. I will say that as Americans, when you come to Canada, you do have to get some form of health coverage. It's going to be provided to you through the International Students Office. So it's definitely worth looking into that. It's on our website if you search health coverage for international students, and they will give you some kind of quotes on how much it's going to cost to have health coverage while you're studying in Canada. So as I mentioned, these are students who are welcome mentors. So the Welcome Crew, they help out, as I said, with any questions that you have. If you need to find where your classes are, if you need to find a good place to get poutine in Montreal, they're the ones to kind of go to and help you out with that process. Within the Student Success Center, we also have career and planning services. So if you are starting to think like, what can I do with my degree? Where do I want to go with my degree? You can sit down with them. They'll look over your resume. They'll look over your cover letter. They can even do fake interviews with you. So if you just want to sit in a room and have an interview that feels very real, it's a really good way to get some practice. And then, as I kind of mentioned briefly, we do have a lot of athletics at Concordia. So we do have a ton of varsity teams. Of course, hockey and football are kind of big ones that we have. But we also have things like rugby and soccer as well. Anything that we don't offer in terms of like a varsity team or like intramural team, like we do have a lot of students that create clubs. So we have like skiing and snowboarding clubs. We don't have a swimming pool at Concordia, so we do have a lot of students that create swim clubs. So there's definitely a lot for everyone. We also have gyms on both campuses that you can sign up for as well. So one thing that we really love at Concordia is that we really encourage our students to learn by experiencing. So pretty much any program that you're going to go into, you are going to have the opportunity to kind of do these like experiential learning, sometimes off campus, like just like really good ways to really teach yourself other than just sitting in the classroom and listening to a professor go over notes. So one thing that students, a lot of students do gravitate towards too is our co-op program. So this is offered for most students. The Faculty of Fine Arts doesn't offer it, and some of the other programs, it really depends. So it's good to check in with your program. You know, you can send them an email, you can look at the website. They do have some information on which programs offer co-op, but basically it's a work-study program. So you kind of alternate between working and studying. Working and studying. You can work in you can work for a company that is within your field. So by the end of your time at Concordia, you have about a year's and a half worth of experience, and you get paid for it as well. So it's a program that a lot of students really kind of gravitate to. We also have a study abroad program. So if you're ever interested in studying outside of Concordia, I really encourage students to kind of look into this. It's a great way to learn, and we have universities around the world that we team up with. So I know for sure we have one in Finland, Sweden, one in Iceland, there's one in Tokyo, there's also a bunch all across the States. So it's really something that's kind of fun to do. As well as if you do this program, you continue to pay Concordia tuition, even though you're going to be studying at another school. So it's a pretty good way to pay like Canadian pricing, even if you're going to be going to study abroad somewhere else. So District 3 is a center for innovation entrepreneurship. So this is basically a space, if you've ever had an idea to build up a business, or if you've ever just kind of thought that this was a really interesting process, you can come here and they have students who can help you out with this. As you can see, it's a very collaborative space where you can work with other students to kind of realize your ideas and turn them into something. So, you know, I've heard of students who've gone here with like fashion, like they're in business and, you know, like they're kind of looking into doing, you know, creating their own fashion line, and they're trying to figure out how to work on that. You can come to the center and they can help you out. We also have an office in New York City, so there is the possibility to kind of go down there and work with the team that is in New York. In one of our buildings downtown, we have a greenhouse. So there are a lot of places on campus for you to just sort of escape, do some studying. In the wintertime, this is a really nice and tropical, warm space to come and hang out in. But even now that like the campus is closed, they do a lot of online events. So if you ever want to like learn how to make macrame or learn how to not kill your plants, the greenhouse is a really great place to sort of get to know. And they do plant sales every year. So if you are in Montreal and you want to buy some plants to decorate your house, the Concordia greenhouse is a great place to start with that. I did mention briefly that Concordia has a lot of clubs. So I think there's about, like there's over 200 student run clubs that we have at Concordia. One of the ones is the SAE. So this is somewhere where students go and they build race cars. It's completely extracurricular, but it's a really good place for students to kind of learn outside of school and get a lot of like experience working with others. Of course, when you see like building race cars, you kind of think mostly of engineer students, but I know some students who were in marketing that have helped them out. I know some students who are graphic designers who have helped them make logos. So it's kind of a cool place to go to if you just want to get involved and just sort of, you know, if you see yourself and you're like, okay, I have a skill that I can share with them, it's a really great place. They're really nice people. And even if you just want to go and say hi, they'll let you try out sitting in all the race cars and everything, which is sort of fun. Okay, so that's all that I really want to talk about student life at Concordia. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the admission process. So applying to a school in Canada is a lot different from applying to schools in the States. So I think it's really important to kind of go over this quickly just so you can get an idea of what the process is. So at Concordia, we're really just looking for your grades. So of course, there's going to be some programs like fine arts, which are going to ask students for a portfolio, maybe an audition. But if you're applying to something in like engineering, computer science, business, a lot of our arts and science programs, we're just looking for a grade average. We don't look at ACTs or SATs, so that kind of takes away that stress. We don't look like, unless a program specifies we're looking for a letter of intent, we don't require that. So we don't need you to like write us an essay about like why you would be a good fit in the program, except for like there's some like fine arts which will ask you for that. Otherwise, yeah, it's very much grade based. So if you have the ability to, you can take a screenshot of this just so you can kind of get an idea of what our programs are asking for. And then of course at the top, it also says like if you're taking any classes right now that are AP courses, and I will talk about the IB very quickly, there is possibility for some of your credits to transfer over when you apply to Concordia, which can really help with it can like reduce the duration of your time in Concordia. So for the IB diploma, this is like what we are looking for the specific programs. I'm not sure exactly what all of you are interested in. So maybe just grab a screenshot of this. If you have questions about it, we can go over it. But this is sort of what we're looking at for admissions into our specific programs. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about is just how to apply. So it's quite easy. It's quite straightforward. But I will say that we are not on the Common App, so you do have to apply directly through our Concordia website. So you just have to go to concordia.ca/apply, and that's where you can start filling out the application. you have to pay a fee of $103.50 Canadian. And then when you're filling out your application, you can choose 3 programs. So you don't have to apply to just one. So try to choose those programs strategically. So put your first, like your top choice first, your second choice second, your third choice third. And the reason why we like to emphasize that is because if you put them in random order, if you get accepted to your first choice, we're going to cancel the application for the other 2. So it's just kind of good to put them in the order so that way we evaluate it in the order that you want us to. If you're applying for business, you can only apply for one business program. All the admission requirements for business are the exact same. So if you don't go to one, you're not going to get into any of them. So, you know, make sure to put your business choice first and then strategically put some backup choices. And then all you have to do is upload documents for your application. You do not have to upload official documents. You can take screenshots of your transcripts and upload them. If you're accepted to Concordia, then we will ask you to supply us with your official documents. The consent for release of information, this is really up to you. Basically, it allows the person that you put in to see your application and to get information about it. So a lot of students might put their guidance counselor, but if you don't want to put anyone, that's totally fine. And then the deadline to apply is February 1st. Currently, the application is not out yet. It comes out on October 15th. So you can start applying for the fall 2021 semester as of October 15th, and then you will have to have it finished for the February 1st deadline. Okay, so if you want to take a quick screenshot of this, so this is just all my information. So if you want to get in touch with me, I am your go-to person at Concordia. I'd be very happy to get in touch, schedule time to talk one-on-one, whether it's over Zoom or over the phone. And then on the left, we have our social media information. So if you go to the Instagram or the Facebook link, then you can actually talk to some of our recruiters directly. And they always just post information about what's happening at Concordia to sort of keep you in the loop and you know, give you a bunch of information as you're starting to look towards your applications to colleges and universities. Okay, so that is what I have for the presentation. So I see that there's one Q&A. So yeah, so for tuition and costs, so basically, as I said, it really kind of depends. Like I kind of just very quickly went over this. So it does kind of depend on the program that you're going to apply to. So we do have sort of a range. The range is from about $21,000 to $27,000 Canadian for one academic year. So that's for the full year, and that's just for your tuition. So that doesn't include like housing, it doesn't include internet, all that kind of stuff. So that's separate. But in terms of your actual tuition, it's going to be about $21,000 to $27,000 Canadian for a full year. We do have a tuition calculator on our website. So if you go to concordia.ca and just search tuition fee calculator, it'll come up. It's kind of like, it's quite intuitive. You just kind of have to fill out some information. So it'll ask you which program you're interested in, which will give you a little bit more of a concise tuition instead of just more of an estimate. But one thing that it'll ask you for is that it will ask how many credits you are planning to take each semester. So just so all of you know, the way that we have it at Concordia is that one class is worth 3 credits. So as an international student, if all of you are international, then basically you are looking at taking 4 or 5 classes a semester. You have to be considered a full-time student. So that's going to be about 12 to 15 credits. If you have dual citizenship with Canada, then you can take less if you want to. It's only for international students that you have to take full-time course load. So yeah, so do you accept transfer credits from a US college? Yes, yes we do. We can't guarantee how many credits will transfer. So basically the way that transfer credits work is that you have to send us an application for us to be able to evaluate the credits that you've taken at previous universities or colleges. So what you do is you send us the application, put your transcripts, attach your transcripts with it. We will evaluate them. And then if you get accepted to the university, we will let you know in the acceptance letter how many credits were transferred over to Concordia. Of course, we would love to be able to show that information before your application, but it's within the application process that we go through all of your transcripts. So we don't evaluate transcripts before that's an application. I also just want to note too, going back to the tuition costs, if any of you have dual citizens, like if any of you are French citizen as well, we do have a reduced tuition fee for students who have French tuition. And then if you're Canadian, you're going to be paying the Canadian tuition fee at any of the universities in Canada. I will also say, talking about the visa process, I guess, like talking about if you're Canadian or not. So if you don't have dual citizenship with Canada and you are a student from US, you do have to apply for student visas. So in Quebec, you have to apply for the CAQ first. So when you get your application, when you get an offer letter, there's going to be instructions on how to do this, but you're going to be applying for your permit to study in the province of Quebec first. Once you receive that permit, then you can apply for like the federal student visa, which will allow you to study in the country. So it is a two-step process. As I mentioned, our international student office has people who are trained to help students get their visa and apply for their visa. So in the offer letter that you will receive, they will have instructions on who to contact, how to get help for this, and what the process is to get your proper study permits on. All right, did anyone else have any questions for the Q&A box? I'm hoping that all of you were able to grab a screenshot of my contact information, because please, at any point, you can just send me an email and we can go over any more specific questions that you may have during that time. Okay, so I don't see any more questions coming through. So that's the presentation that I had today for those of you who are just watching and seeing what questions come up. I know it was a little bit short, but I don't want to keep you too long. But if you do have any questions that you just want to ask me, just want to send me an email, please do so. I'd be happy to hear from you. I did just receive one more question. So about scholarships, this is a good question. I completely forgot to mention this, so thank you for reminding me. So we do have some scholarships and bursaries for international students. So the main one that students receive are what we call our entrance bursaries. So you receive these if you get accepted. That's when we review to see if you're eligible for them. So the nice thing about the entrance bursaries is that you don't have to apply for them at all. So if you get accepted to the university, that is your application for all of the entrance bursaries. And then the people in our financial aid and award office, they go through and they see which students would be eligible for which awards. And then if you receive an award, you will be notified by email. So it's kind of nice because, the application, applying to universities takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of work. So it's kind of nice to be able to be considered for bursaries without having to do an extra application. We have two more scholarships that came, I think we started last year, started giving them out. They're specifically for international students. So they're basically for students who have excelled academically in high school. So we're looking for students that have extremely high grades. You do have to send us an application for them. It's listed on our financial aid and award website, like what the process is for the application. So for those ones you do, but they're a full ride scholarship. So they're renewable every year for 4 years. So if you are awarded with that, it's a pretty big scholarship to receive. And then we also, I will say that we also, so if you are looking into student loans, we accept FAFSA at Concordia. So if you're looking into government loans, then you can definitely use FAFSA and use those loans to come study at Concordia as well. All right, well, I'm going to stay on for just a few more minutes. So if you do have more questions and you feel like asking them, I will stay here just in case some of you are still typing. But if that's answered all of your questions, again, be in touch in the future if you would like to. And I really hope that all of you enjoy your weekend and enjoy the rest of the day. All right, and I will pass it back on to Strive Scan. So I think that we will be ending the webinar this time, but it was very nice speaking to you guys today, and have a great weekend.
Okay, so thank you very much to our panelists, Dylan. When you close the window, you will be receiving a quick survey. If you could please send us your feedback, we would definitely appreciate it. You can always sign up for more sessions at our website. And then this recording will be available on the College2Career FairsConnect.org website in about a week. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.